All right, Tom Noonan on the Fishbowl. Welcome. I am a huge fan of your work, and in fact, Encore has been playing the very first movie I ever saw you in, which was at the young age of 5 years old, and it starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, Charles Dance, and the great Tom Noonan, and that film was Last Action Hero.
You said when you're 5 years old?
5 years old.
Okay. Do you remember that? Or?
Oh yeah, yeah. I always tell the story because my dad actually let me watch Total Recall on my fifth birthday. So Last Action Hero was actually the very first Arnold Schwarzenegger movie I got to see in theaters because it came out later that summer of I guess that was 95, 94, something like that. No, 93
Yeah.
because I was 88. But yeah, I've been a huge Schwarzenegger fan since I saw Total Recall at my fifth birthday, which is coming up to be the 28th on the 18th, and it really defined me for who I am and where my writing and everything is at this point. But your character as the Ripper was great, and going back and watching that movie now, I'm like really appreciating all the one-liners, not just from Schwarzenegger, but from everyone throughout the whole movie, because that's what that movie was supposed to be. It was like a kind of like the first Expendables before there was the Expendables.
Yeah, the original script was really, really amazing, and then they changed it to some degree, which I didn't think was helpful. And then they sort of decided they were going to try to come up with Jurassic Park and open the same weekend, which was a terrible mistake.
Right.
And they rushed to get it. They rushed to get it done. I mean, I think it opened in July, and I was in June. So I didn't, from a movie that complicated and all the special effects and action stuff, I don't see how they could have possibly posted it, quickly or thoroughly enough to get it. Because I think there's a much better movie in there than. I mean, I was going to movie bad. I actually like the movie, but there's a lot of stuff that when you rush and finish a movie, you end up often, instead of cutting out scenes, you cut down every scene a little bit just to make more, to shorten it, and then you end up making the bad scenes worse and the good scenes not so great.
Right, right.
Yeah, because the script was really amazing. I think we did a table read of it in some soundstage, and it was really incredibly great.
It's still one of my top favorite films of Schwarzenegger and yours, and same with Charles Dance to this day. I love watching that movie because I remember being 5 years old and being in this movie theater, and I have never been taken away more in a film where I wanted to be that kid.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm turning 28 and I still want to be that kid. But yeah, so
It was.
yeah,
I mean, the part, the memory of it was that I was doing things I thought were cool, and then McKiernan would sort of give me some ideas about stuff, and eventually I just said to him, "John, do it. I'll do exactly the way you do it." And McKiernan's a very shy guy. I mean, he's a really great person, and I thought one of the best directors and really well prepared. But I would make him do the performance, and then I would just imitate exactly what he did. So all that crazy stuff I was doing was stuff that he was showing me how to do, and it was really fun. Because he was very shy, and I don't think that was easy for him to do that. But it was sort of a cool way to work with him.
well, again, it's one of my all-time favorite films still to this day. I still to this day have never been more taken away in a movie where I want to be that kid. I want to be in this movie. It just the idea of it is just
Yeah.
it was pretty awesome. I mean, I still am fascinated with it to this day.
Yeah.
But for my first question, What got you interested in film to begin with?
I didn't act till I was pretty old. I was 27 or 28 before I acted ever. I've been a musician. I still sort of, and I was a guitar player. And at one point, I was living in a commune in Boston, actually Jamaica Plain, which is a suburb. And a woman from BU, Boston University, came to our commune and said she wanted to make a documentary about our, family lifestyle. So she came and shot all the house meetings and the dinners and sort of all the stuff we were doing around this place. And she cut it together and invited us to the screening at BU. And I'd never really seen myself on camera. That was in the early 70s when you really didn't have consumer level video. And there were high movies in me when I was a little kid, but I never really seen myself. And so we were in this big auditorium with all these students, and the movie starts, and the first time I come on, everybody starts laughing and pointing at me. Not me, but me on screen. And I had no idea why this was causing sort of an uproar. And over the course of the movie, I realized that I was sort of an odd guy. That I did things where I spoke very quietly, and I was always sort of laughing to myself and making just asides that made absolutely no sense. But people seemed to be sort of getting off on it. So at that point, I knew that I could make money being in movies if I wanted to. But I kept playing for a couple of years. So then I moved to New York, and I was working on a play. I wrote music for a bunch of plays at that period in movies. I wrote a lot of film scores. And I was working on this particular play, and I was writing songs for the actors. And I would teach them how to do the songs. And many of these people are pretty well-known actors and pretty successful. And I thought, shit, if this is how bad they are, not that they're bad, but I thought if I get them to do this, I could do this. So I thought, I'm going to be an actor. And I put my guitar away and told it I'd never play it again. And I started auditioning, and within like 2 weeks, I had to lead in the play. It sort of came about in an odd, sort of happenstantial way. It wasn't like I had ever had any ambition to be an actor. Not that acting was so stupid and silly, and I loved movies, but I didn't really understand acting, and I really wanted to be a rock and roll, star. Movies didn't really have that much interest, and didn't for a long time, even when I started doing them.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So, what were some of your favorite bands being in your prime in the late '60s, early '70s?
Well, I loved it. I used to work security for Bill Graham, who had this place called Fillmore East and Fillmore West.
That now we're talking.
Yeah, my brother was the assistant stage manager. So when I was like 15 and 16, 17, I started going to Fillmore every weekend. So I saw The Airplane, The Grateful Dead, 10 Years After, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Spirit, all these amazing bands. And Frank Zappa, I saw a bunch of times. I saw Zappa like a bunch of times when I was a teenager because he used to play in New York a lot.
I'm a huge Zappa fan. My dad got me into Zappa at a very young age. And I honestly think the Fillmore East album is pretty amazing.
So I was really into music, but I would sort of fool around the guitar a little bit. I didn't really play much. I had been a classical pianist. And then I sort of had a nervous breakdown at the end of my sophomore year at Yale. And I really just completely sort of lost it, and I just disappeared. I just dropped out of college. I got a backpack and just hitchhiked away, and nobody heard from me for a couple of years. And during that time, I found a guitar in a pawn shop and just started practicing. And then I moved back to New York eventually after a few years of just wandering around, and I heard this album called Inner Mounting Flame by John McLaughlin in Mahavishnu Orchestra, and it completely blew my mind. And I went to see them play. It was just an incredible experience. It was like nothing I'd ever seen, and I started trying to learn how to play like he played. I'd read every interview that John McLaughlin, was interviewed in, and all of the magazine, everything he ever wrote, and I would, that's sort of the kind of music that I played when I was trying to make a living at it. Like, I guess it was called fusion.
Yeah.
And Miles Davis a lot, Weather Report, Pat Metheny a little bit, Return to Forever with Chick Corea, Keith Jarrett, And I was for like 8 years. I practiced like 10 hours a day until I came to New York and got into doing film scores and stuff.
That's pretty amazing. Very, very cool. Very,
Yeah,
very cool.
it was a weird trip to how I ended up in movies and acting. It was
Yeah.
not at all direct, and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And but it happened so easily and so quickly and I had so much fun eventually doing it that it sort of seemed like the right thing.
Well, it definitely has, I guess, become the right thing because you've had a huge, extensive career in the film industry, and you've played very diverse characters over the years. I mean, you've had a huge career in sci-fi horror. You've also had a huge career in westerns, and just large multitude of films, and all of them, fall under the category of what I'm a huge fan of. I
Yeah,
mean, one of the first, again, one of your earlier films that I have to give credit where credit is due, and I would not have any of the inspirations I have in film and who I like if it weren't for my dad. And
yeah,
my dad showed me Wolfen when I was like 8 years old, and that's been one of my like favorite '80s horror, kind of like a werewolf movie, but it's not
yeah.
film. And I really enjoyed Wolfen, and they've also been playing that lately on like Cinemax. I own it also, and um,
Yeah, that was sort of disappointing when it came out because Michael Wilder was the director, and he was the director of Woodstock, which was another rock and roll connection. And I think the cut that he finished with when it was going to be distributed was about over 3 hours long. And he got into a big fight with the studio and went to court, and then they got the movie away from him and cut it down to like 2 hours, and they cut out a ton of stuff that I did in it. And it was really, really disappointing.
uh, I'm sure. I mean, your character was. Now that I hear that I guess that kind of makes sense because I thought your character in that movie was probably the most emotional character out of any of the other characters in the film. I mean, Albert Finney is great. The late great Gregory Hines, is great.
Yeah,
But I really enjoyed the emotion of your character when with the brief part that was shown with your character. I mean, the scene where you're watching the video of the
yeah,
wolves being attacked and everything by humans, and it just it because I'm a huge fan of animals, and especially dogs, and wolves and all that. And I just it's a very emotional scene to watch, and I
yeah.
thought you pulled it off beautifully.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time preparing to do that part, but they got me with wolf trainers, which is sort of a weird idea that you could train a wolf. But I spent a lot of time with wolves that were in captivity, and talking to people who raised them, and read a lot of books, and and it was just sort of sad that Michael ended up losing the movie, and
Yeah.
because the cut the cut that they took away from him is really sort of amazing. The movie now sort of, it seems not as big as that. The version he had is really grand and sort of operatic and beautiful.
Do you think there might
Yeah,
be a chance of getting
Jack
like a?
Brown, yeah.
Uh,
So
do you think there might be a chance of, since like everything's being re-released on Blu-ray now? Do you think there might be a chance of getting like a director's cut of Wolfen?
I don't know. I've been in contact indirectly with Michael the last month or two because they're doing I think they're doing some sort of Blu-ray release or some sort of re-release of the movie or a documentary about it. And since I hadn't talked to him in a long time, he sort of, I think he lives in Scotland now. That I want to make sure that anything I told in this interview that would sort of fit in with his idea of the movie, because I didn't want to be undermining him. But I'm not sure. I was hoping to ask him. I was hoping to talk to him in the next couple of weeks because he's a real character, and.
Well, I would love, with all these director's cuts coming out, and re-release of the '80s horror movies, which I think is probably the best decade ever for horror sci-fi. Um, I would love to see an extended version of Wolfen. I mean that film I think
Yeah,
is really
yeah,
underrated.
yeah. And that was hard. I mean, when I went to the screening, I went and looped a little before they released it, and then they had a big screening. And I tend not to go to those kinds of things ever, but it was like the first sort of big movie I'd done. And about 10 minutes in, I started noticing that there was stuff they had dropped of me, and then all of a sudden scenes were gone that I remembered. So I got up and left. I've never seen the movie. I only saw the first like 20 minutes of it.
Wow.
So
Well,
so a little bit of it. There's a place called the Nighthawk in Brooklyn. I don't know if you know that. It's sort of a place where you can go and eat and watch sort of cool movies. And they have the filmmakers come. I did a Q&A there on Wolfen about 3 months ago. But I didn't end up seeing the movie. I only saw like the last 10 minutes of it. But I'd never seen that before.
my dad's actually from New York, so I go there quite often. But I haven't been to the city as much because my dad's parents are from the Long Island area. But
Yeah.
I now that I'm about to graduate, I'm trying to make a few more trips out to the East Coast, but a lot towards the West Coast also.
Where are you graduating from?
Point Park University.
Are you from Pittsburgh? Is that where you are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I shot there a couple times. So I like that place.
It's a great city. You know, I'm a screenwriting major, and I'm actually currently working on my senior thesis project, which is based on, speaking of the werewolf wolves topic. It's based on the Native American legends of skinwalkers.
Oh, cool.
And there's again 80s inspiration. Wolfen having that film mainly being focused on Native American lore was definitely a huge inspiration for where I'm going with my script now. But it's movies. Movies are great. They give inspiration to unlikely people in the most unlikely times, and it helps them pull through in different ways to help define who they are. And like I said, if it wasn't for my dad showing me Total Recall at age 5, which really I begged him at age 3 to let me watch, and he didn't let me watch it until age 5, and he only covered my eyes on the three-titted lady. It really defines who I am and what I like as a film in general.
Yeah.
But
do you know the movies? Do you know the movies that I directed, or you're going to get to that eventually? Or are you aware of them?
Oh yeah, there's I wasn't sure how much time we had, so I was mainly going to focus on
Sure, do whatever you
your
want.
acting career, but we can definitely talk about some of the films you've directed,
Yeah.
because I know that there's the TV series Monsters. That I was a huge fan of, and I know you also composed for Tales from the Dark Side, which was also one of my favorite TV series growing up.
Yeah.
Watching the reruns and everything, and I really enjoyed. I mean, especially being from Pittsburgh, of course, I'm a huge George Romero fan.
And Martin.
Yeah, Martin, exactly. John Amplis teaches at Point Park.
Was he played Martin?
Yeah.
He's great in that. I mean, if you ever talk to him, I love that movie.
Yeah. I'm actually.
I think it's the best thing he made.
Yeah. I'm actually trying. I'm probably going to get him on the show fairly soon. I mean, Marty Schiff, who was also the garbage man at the end of Creep Show with Tom Savini. He also
yeah.
he also teaches at Point Park now, and he actually did the lighting for Creep Show.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we can talk about some of your directing stuff. We can talk about Monsters, since we're on the topic of horror and all that.
Yeah, I always wrote a lot. When I first started acting, I wrote all the scenes that I would audition with, and tell people that from a play that existed that didn't nice. So I always wrote a lot. And I guess in like 1988, I wrote a script called Red Wind, sort of a thriller. And I wrote it and finished it on a Thursday and sold it on Friday. In one day I sold it to this British company. And all of a sudden I was this hot screenwriter. And I've been trying to get in with the guys at Tales of the Dark Side, Mitchell Galen and Richard, what's his name? Forgot his name, shit. I was trying to always get them to let me, do some stuff there because I thought it would be a way to learn. And then when this movie got sold and it sort of was put me on the map as a screenwriter, they got suddenly interested in working with me. And so I started pitching them ideas. I wanted to pitch them an idea about the first thing I wanted to do for them was a idea of an abortionist or a doctor who performs abortions who himself gets pregnant. It's a guy. And they got freaked out and said, no, we can't possibly do a Monsters episode without, abortion. So I had to change the script, and so I made it sort of different. I made it about my father, who was a jazz musician who quit to become a dentist in real life. And so I wrote this thing about a jazz musician who quit playing because he thought his wife didn't want him to play anymore, and because of that he had this monster growing inside of him, which, but they actually liked that. And I wrote it at that point, Bob Balaban was going to direct it and I was going to write it, and then, I kept going to Balaban, how do I get to direct on the show? He said, well, what we'll do is I'll drop out right before we're about to shoot, and I'll tell them you're the only one that can really direct this. And that's what we did, and it worked out. I mean, Bob quit or went off on some other job, and they were sort of stuck, and they had to use me. So I ended up directing 2 episodes of Monsters, just because there's nobody else to do them, and I'd written both of them, and wrote the music for both of them. So that was sort of my first real directing gig that I ever had.
And quite an awesome gig, I must say. Again, horror, sci-fi is probably my 2 favorite genres, and the genre that I write in best. There's just something about the supernatural force, good versus evil, evil in itself, that just is very appealing to an audience in terms of taking them away on just a ride, whether it's for a half hour, an hour, or an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's something cool about Monsters, Well, speaking of monsters, let's talk about Monster Squad.
Sure.
Which is, you played Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
I really like this film a lot. Another writer director that I'm a huge fan of, Fred Decker.
Yeah, Fred's a good guy.
Yeah, I'm very excited that him and Shane Black are working on the next Predator movie. Shane's great. Both those guys are great to work with. Yeah, also Shane.
Really young guys.
Right.
What?
I was just gonna say also Shane. Again, back to Last Action Hero. Shane wrote the screenplay for Last Action Hero, and again, being from Pittsburgh, having Shane be from Pittsburgh, huge inspiration on my own writing style, because he really is fantastic at doing a 2-person dialogue.
Yeah, I've been offered this. I just done Manhunter, and I get offered all these psycho killer parts. One of them was this movie called Near Dark. Catherine Bigelow, do you know?
That's a great movie.
Yeah, she wanted me to do it, and I thought, I don't want to do another one of these movies right now. And so, luckily, Monster Squad came along, and that was sort of a sweet script, and it was sort of cool to make and fun, and then in the end, it came out right before, I think, before DVDs became sort of popular. So that I don't think it ever really got distributed the way movies a year or 2 later would have been distributed. So I never saw it. I didn't see it until probably 2010, 2012. and all those years I never saw it. And then they had this big reunion with the release of the DVD, I think, at one of these, autograph conventions, and that's when the first time I saw it. I thought it was pretty good. I like that movie.
I always compared it to the Goonies.
Same feel. Yeah.
I thought it was the other Goonies of the '80s, and I actually met the name is blanking me, but it's the main kid character.
Yeah.
But I met him. I think it was last summer at a local Pittsburgh horror convention, and he used this term that he told me a fan said to him, and the quote was, "The only reason the Monster Squad is better than the Goonies is because at the end of the Goonies only saved the day, and at the end of the Monster Squad saved the world."
Yeah.
But
Stan Winston was also incredibly.
oh man, I had a chance to interview his son, Matt Winston,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was really an amazing experience because again, being a huge Schwarzenegger fan, Stan Winston is probably my favorite, was my favorite, or still is my favorite makeup effects artist of all time.
Yeah.
Everything he's ever done is amazing, and there's been some great ones. And I know, being from Pittsburgh, you got to throw Tom Savini in there, and you do. He's fantastic. But my favorite makeup effects artist of all time does have to go to Stan Winston. He created some of the most amazing creatures and makeup effects. Just prime examples of what you can do with like man-made technology to create the illusion of just something amazing in film.
Who I also worked with as far as makeup guys, and he's not, I don't know if he's credited, but he worked with Dick Smith, worked a little bit on Wolfen.
Right, Dick Smith, yep.
And I met him, I knew him a little then, and then, he's my favorite, especially that sort of realistic, whole Godfather stuff is great.
Right.
But I met him at a signing convention on Burbank about 3 years ago, right before he died. And he remembered me. It was sort of amazing. He was like 90, and they took a bunch of pictures of me and him together. And I gave his wife or his girlfriend my email address, and they sent me a bunch of pictures of him and me together, which I really sort of cherished because I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he was another probably the godfather of all godfathers when it comes to makeup effects. I mean, he was doing
blood technology.
Yep. He was doing it all. It set the tone for pretty much everyone else who followed. Really, you have to give credit where credit is due in the silent film era, which is to Lon Chaney Sr. But Dick Smith definitely took the modern age of makeup effects and allowed people like Stan Winston, like Tom Savini,
and Rob Bottin was great.
Rob Bottin, another one, Total Recall. I mean, RoboCop, which is again RoboCop 2. Right.
It's great.
Right.
Doug Drexler.
Yeah. The another Pittsburgher who's big now, Greg Nicotero. The whole K&B effects group. I did have a chance to meet Robert Kurtzman when I was 18, and I've been trying to get him on the show for a while now, but he's been super busy. So hopefully we'll get him on soon. But I always thought K&B effects group really, as far as like the late 80s into the 90s and now, they kind of took over where Savini left off. And because I know Greg was actually Savini's apprentice, and that's why he's doing like The Walking Dead now and everything and all that. But yeah, I mean, makeup effects are where it's at, and I kind of am disappointed because I feel like the horror genre as of lately has like taken a real turn downhill in terms of like not utilizing makeup effects and turning more to CG to get the job done. Where there's something much cooler about using makeup effects if you can. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't use CG because I'm a firm believer in using CG effects. But I feel like if you can get away with using makeup effects and doing it practical, then that's what you should do, and only use CG when you can't use that. Because if you look at films like Jurassic Park, again, Stan Winston, T2, again, Stan Winston, you have a much more everlasting film that can be reintroduced to new generations, and they can, like I feel like 50 years from now, people will still be watching Terminator 2 and the original Jurassic Park and being like, holy shit, that still looks amazing, because they took a lot of time and effort into making it look the way it did with, using realistic effects and then turning to CG to get the job done when they definitely knew they could not do practical.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Anomalisa, the movie that I just did?
I actually have not had a chance to see that yet.
It's really great. Yeah. We're just out in LA to get nominated for Best Animated Movie. It's a great movie. People should see that. Starring Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah. I'm a huge Charlie Kaufman fan too, so I mean, that guy knows how to write a screenplay.
Yeah, I've worked on a lot of it. I mean, I did Synecdoche, New York, and then I did How and Why, I think you did for FX TV, series. And then I just finished the, about Horace and Pete.
Yes, I do know about Horace and Pete.
Yeah, we just finished the season. We'll finish the season this week.
Let's talk about that for a sec, because Steve Buscemi's in that, Edie Falco's in that, Louis C.K. created the series. Like, can you tell us? Can you give us a little bit of insight on what's going on with Horace and Pete?
Well, it's a it's a multi-part, really like a play. It takes place in a bar. 90% of it in this bar. A couple scenes take place in a room upstairs at the bar. It's like a 10 or 15 hour play that you see in half-hour installments. And each week there's a whole different cast. It changes. I think it shifts time pretty regularly. It goes back 20 years and 30 years. And, Jessica Lange is in it. Alan Alda, David Blaine, the magician, is in it. David Blaine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Steve Buscemi, Stephen Wright. There's a lot of great people in it. And so it's sort of like doing a play. They shoot it sort of soap opera style with three or four cameras, so you learn the episode, and you just do the episode in one take. And you probably do a couple takes and then cut it maybe a little bit, but it's very low editing. It's really good. And if you can get it directly through Louis' website, it's the only way to get it. So he's creating it. He paid for the whole production himself. Nobody else is involved in financing it, and he's distributing it completely on his own. It's sort of a groundbreaking effort in that way. Besides the fact that it's actually pretty good. So we just finished. I did 3 episodes, and that one I don't really do much in it. I have a couple lines here and there, but I play piano on it, which was sort of fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So those are the most recent things that Anomalisa and Horace and Pete. But people should go. I have you can go to Vimeo, and on the Vimeo Pro page under Vimeo/Tom Noonan. There are 3 movies that I directed. One is What Happened Was, which I made in 1993, and it won Best Film at Sundance, it won Best Screenplay at Sundance, it won Spirit Awards, it won the Chicago Film Festival. And then I made another movie called The Wife, or Wifey, which is on the site as well, which was named one of the top 10 films of the 90s by the San Francisco Chronicle. And there's another movie on there called The Shape of Something Squash, which I did finish that about 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, actually. Because that's basically what I really do, is make movies. I have several others that are not out yet. But, I act, and I love acting and probably more than anything, but my real work is directing and making movies.
That's I had when I took this production class at a few semesters ago. It taught us, even though like my main major is actually my major is screenwriting. They still had us take a class, a production one class, to teach us basically how to make a movie. And I made a few shorts. One was like about 2 minutes. One was 4 minutes, and one was like 5 minutes. And while I'm not really too proud of them, I mean the first one I am, because it was like a cut in camera, and we weren't allowed to do any editing and anything to it, and the way it was shot, it didn't need any editing, but learning to make a movie, having to write the script, having to find actors. Having to edit it all on your own, basically doing everything there is to do with getting it made, and in terms of pre-production, filming it, post-production, all that, it's really a gratifying experience. When I was in class and we were showcasing, all the movies that each student made, teamed up with, of course, a partner, but it was just very gratifying in the seeing like the end product, the finished product. Whether I thought it was good or it wasn't, it was just a very gratifying experience to just see a movie that I made and that other students made on their own. On the screen, it's like, yeah, I did that, and it's directing is, I mean, I feel like I would want to get into it at some point, but my area of expertise is writing, and maybe further along down the road, that's what I'd want to get into, but I really admire directors, and especially writer, director, producer, like the people who do it all. There's really, something to be said about people like you, people like Robert Rodriguez, Tarantino, so many other ones out there. It's a very, very cool thing to do to make movies.
Yeah. So I should get back to my work pretty soon. Would you want to ask me any other questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, we can talk about a few other films if you have a sec, because I did want to talk about Manhunter, because that is the first basically installment of Hannibal Lecter, even though the Hannibal Lecter we all know today is Anthony Hopkins, and the first legitimate Hannibal Lecter was Brian Cox, and you were the first Red Dragon.
Yeah.
That film is still, I think, is pretty intense to this day.
Yeah, I haven't seen it too much. I saw it a couple times a long time ago, but yeah, it meant a lot to me to do, and I had a great time doing it, and it was great working with Michael Mann. So, yeah.
And then, because the other film you worked with him on was Heat.
Yeah, I had a couple scenes in that, but yeah, that was also great. They had another scene that cut, but yeah, that was fun. Wish I worked with him more. There's another. They're making a movie of. They're just doing a documentary about Manhunter right now. They came and interviewed me here for hours a couple months ago. I think they're releasing Blu-ray of it or something.
Awesome. Well, I now have yet another Blu-ray to add to my collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, those movies were great. Again, I'm a huge also Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer, all those guys. Yeah. Those movies. Heat is probably. The Godfather Part 2 is an excellent film, and you get both De Niro and Pacino in it. but you really don't see them interact at all in the
Yeah.
movie because De Niro is Pacino's father when he's young. But Heat, I mean, there are some great lines in Heat. So just great scenes. I mean, the whole movie is just a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
From the opening sequence to the climax and the new normal and resolution and all that. Um,
Yeah.
it's pretty intense, and every character in that film is so essential to the film, whether they had a minor role or not. I mean, the tone of that movie is pretty entertaining and fascinating to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I also had a question about. Well, I mean, I had a chance to interview Ed Numier a while back, and for RoboCop, and RoboCop 2. Of course, you are the villain.
I am RoboCop too.
Yes.
Who did you say you interviewed? Who's this Ed? Who's that?
Ed Numier.
No, who that is? Who's that?
He wrote the screenplay for the first RoboCop.
Oh, that's a great screenplay. I didn't think the script was very good for two, but one is a great screenplay.
Yeah, yeah. He also did the screenplay for Starship Troopers.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, RoboCop again. That is 80s awesomeness at its peak. Um,
Yeah.
RoboCop is one of the most iconic films of the 80s, and I really enjoyed it as a trilogy. I thought that it kind of predicted a lot of where we're kind of heading as of right now, and just it was cool to watch in general, and your character Kane was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was interesting to do. And Irvin Kershner is a great director, and it was really kind of great working with him on that.
Um, I guess if you have to get going soon, that's fine. I have like one last question for you,
Oh, sure, go ahead.
if that's okay, and that question is, being on the Fishbowl and having my podcast be about the film and entertainment industry. What are some of your favorite films?
You just personally?
Personally, what are some of your favorite films?
The Conversation by Francis Ford Coppola. A movie called Ikiru, Ikiru, by Kurosawa.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, Double Indemnity, Billy Wilder.
Another great one.
She's, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Mike Nichols directed.
Right,
Long
right.
Day's Journey Tonight, the adaptation of the O'Neill play, the Sidney Lumet. The Pawnbroker, with Rod Steiger, directed by Sidney Lumet, I believe, and one of the most amazing movies. That's from the mid-'60s. What else do I love? I mean, I keep a list. I have like 450 of my favorite movies. I keep sort of reordering them, but
I do the
and
same
there are a lot of great obscure movies that nobody's seen. Primer.
Yeah.
Primer's a great movie. There's a movie called The Great World of Sound. You know that movie?
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's made by the same guy who made the movie about the girl who's working at the fast food place, and the guy calls up and says he's a cop, and they want him to strip search her.
Okay, yeah.
Same guy who made that movie made The Great World of Sound, and both those movies are great. I watched a lot of French movies. There's a movie called The Taste of Others. It's a great movie. I mean, there's thousands of great French movies. Beaupère, by Bernard Tavernier. Most style I love. Godfather one. Both Godfathers are amazing. East of Eden. Elia Kazan with James Dean.
Right.
It's a great movie. I mean, I teach a lot. I taught at Yale. I taught at Columbia. I taught at NYU for 3 years, and it's sort of sad that a lot of kids coming up don't know a lot of these movies. They don't. A lot of these great classic films are just not. They're not easy to get a hold of. They're not really promoted, and they sort of promote a lot of junk and. Like I would teach a class and seeing Great Virginia Woolf.
And that's one of the most
the loneliness of Lawson's Runner. But,
right. Yeah, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is one of the most amazing pieces of cinema out there. I remember watching it for the first time, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like this is some of the best acting I've ever seen. I mean,
and it's shot there. Like, you won the Academy Award for that.
Right. I mean, it's shot great. The acting is great, and it's like it's like you literally need a break after every scene that goes on in that movie, and you get a break every scene after every major conflict going on in the scene, and then it goes right back into major conflict going on, and I mean it's
funny.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's a fantastic film, and I'm also like surprised that not a lot of people have seen it, and even going to Point Park, some people there are more into older films, like I am, but then again, like I'm going to be 28 when I graduate, and a lot of the other students are, maybe 23 at the oldest, and it's interesting that, there's a lot they haven't seen, and there's so much out there that is just phenomenal. That's not just from the 80s, not just from the 70s, not just from the 60s, but there's fantastic silent films with Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, the Marx Brothers, the Three Stooges. Like, there's so much out there. I mean, we've had film for over 100 years now, and there's so much in those 100 years that are worth watching, that still hold up to this day. And film is an amazing thing.
Yeah. Don't forget Polanski though either. Too.
Oh, Polanski, gotta throw Polanski. Chinatown. Yep, Chinatown. Actually, one of my favorite Polanski films is with Johnny Depp, The Ninth Gate.
Wow, I don't know that.
It's kind of like his return to kind of like dealing with the devil, like he did with Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
It's I forget. I think it's based on a book from a European author, but it's a really interesting film. It'll make you think, and it's also one of the few films where, in a sense, evil wins.
When did that come out?
99, I believe.
Oh, shit. Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting movie. It's definitely one of those movies you have to watch it a couple times, because I think it's like close to 2 hours, maybe a little over, and like it's one of his films where there's a lot going on that you won't notice the first time around, and then when you finally see the ending and you get it, what's been going on the whole time, you go back and watch it again, and you start to notice like little things in the scenes that you're like, oh, okay, I got it now. That kind of thing. But it kind of deals with a book that supposedly the devil wrote, and there's now a group of devil like worshiping people, Satanists, that are trying to acquire this book so they can like basically unleash the devil. And Johnny Depp is like a book collector, kind of like a appraiser, and he gets thrown into this mix of stuff going on, with like murders happening around him as he's trying to like decipher, is this book real? Did the devil actually co-write this book with the original author?
Oh, I think I saw this movie.
Yeah.
I remember this now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It's probably my favorite Polanski film of that genre, but it's pretty entertaining.
Okay, cool.
But well, Tom, it's been great having you on the show. Again, huge fan of your work, and maybe we can set up a time to do another interview at a later point.
Sure, I'm around.
Awesome.
I'll go talk about movies.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, have a great day, man.
You too. Thanks for swimming in the bowl.
Keep writing.
I definitely will.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.